Welcome, everybody. I'm here with Ikue. We're going to be talking a lot about dance, spirituality, how that's all connected to the body. Welcome, Ikue.
Oh, thank you for having me, Ra.
Yes. And so let's just start really quick on you. When did you start dancing?
I started to dance when I entered university, and that was back in 1999.
Okay. So over 20 years ago.
Yes.
And what do you think the most profound thing has been in your dance journey?
I would say one of the highlights was I got to perform in front of, at the time I was used to say, 5 billion audience, 5 billion people. I got to perform at the closing ceremony of the Vancouver Olympics.
5 billion people watch the Olympics?
That's what they say. Biggest audience of lifetime.
And how do you get chosen for that?
We auditioned. There were about 400 people to audition. And there were some group auditions. I auditioned as an individual. And then, I was lucky. Somehow they selected me. There were 30 people got selected for the center stage. And there were only 2 female dancers.
Oh, so you're one of the 2 female dancers.
Yeah, I was.
All right, so let's just get right into it, okay?
Okay.
All right, because Ikue and I basically travel around with the Human Garage team, and we both open up. We're kind of both the opening act for the Human Garage team. She teaches... What do you teach, actually? Because I wanted to just say dance, but it's way more than that.
Like, I think what Gary saw me was, wow, Ikue likes to have fun, and she's very good at get people dancing hyped up. And so let her open up. And I love the combination of us doing it. And I recently found out through this trip that you're a Libra too.
Yeah.
A Libra.
Nice. How do you relate to being a Libra?
I think Libra is all about, balance and peace and loving and open. And I think we both have an energy. I mean, like we bring something new, something very different. But it's just like, I feel like we both inspire people to move. Let's just get that energy moving.
Yeah. So for me, I definitely have been in the movement culture and fitness and health and wellness. And so it's definitely a big part of my identity is like being in my body and inspiring others to as well. So I definitely resonate with what you're saying. I also feel that me being a Libra makes me a good teacher and coach because I can view my teachings from the perspective of everybody in the audience. It's almost like I'm teaching, but I'm viewing myself teaching through them. So I'm making sure to hit all of the points from the different perspectives.
I can definitely relate to that. I feel like I've been told that I have so many aspects of myself. And then I have a lot of things in my pocket. So I can relate to many people. Also, throughout my career, I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching kind of thing. So I can keep talking to anybody. And I cannot run out of ideas to talk about. And so that's what I'm good at. But I also feel like teaching people is kind of like make sure, first of all, you need to make sure that I am safe with you. You are safe with me, establishing a connection. And to connect with people, to establish a connection, you sort of like introduce yourself, this is me, and then slowly pushing the envelope of this is your comfort zone. Let's see if you can do this. I like to start my class or movement with okay, let's everybody bounce. Now you can bounce. Can you shake your body too? And the shoulders. So pushing the envelope.
The lot of things in your pocket. What did you mean by that?
I feel like, let's start with bouncing. If you don't want to bounce, maybe you can swing your arms. Okay, let's start with this. Or I feel like my teaching changed a lot depending on who I'm teaching. So if I'm teaching spiritual conscious people, I will talk more about energy. If I'm just teaching dancers and the way I teach is completely different. Am I teaching street dancers or am I teaching more trained contemporary dancers? So I feel like I have a lot of approaches that can take.
And so if you were talking to somebody or even your younger self that is a teacher of some sort or would like to teach, whether it's dance, health and wellness, how to build something, what would be the advice that you would give them on teaching or becoming a professional teacher? I think that's the more interesting topic for people is like, how do we actually do this for our career?
I think teaching is like learning for the second time, right? The more you teach, you discover something new. Growing up, a lot of my friends or around like the adults told me that, oh, you're teacher type. And I would say like, don't call me teacher. I would never be a teacher. Like I used to think teaching is such a boring job, to be honest, because it seems like, throughout the year, you teach the exact same thing. And next year you repeat the same thing.
Right.
It's such a boring thing. That's
right.
what I used to think. And the reality is somehow the life took me and always in a position of leading people and teaching people. And one day I realized that I'm just good at guiding people. And I think one of my strengths is I'm very detail oriented. I come from a place where structure is always appreciated. I was born and raised in Japan. And now that, I'm at the point where, I'm creating the structure of freedom. Know that structure exists. Know that this matrix help us navigate through life. But know that and use it and rise above it. So we can constantly use that structure and expand and push in the envelope.
Did you start dancing in Japan?
Yes, but I started to dance when I was basically 19 years old, and that's the age that people stop dancing.
Right.
So I carry a lot of insecurity around that. I wish I could start earlier, or I wish I was born in Canada so that I was exposed to all kinds of dancing. But I think there's strength and power in learning something as an adult because you get to dissect everything and see things in patterns so that you get to be a better teacher.
Let's talk a little bit more about that starting when you're 19, because I know that, and I'm so happy that you said that you're having insecurity or you feel vulnerable there, because I know that's an issue with a lot of people who are over 12 years old starting something, which we all do. We all go through many chapters of life, but I feel like the imposter syndrome or wishing that we've had the skill sets almost like as a automatic because we've been doing it since we were 3 years old. So how do you deal with that in terms of like dancing, and then also the fact that you're in front of classes being a teacher? Like how do you work with that?
I think good teachers see everyone's potential and notice how they learn. The learning process is some are more visual, some are more hands-on. But I think it's at the end of it, like, can you really tune into your body and your spirit? So whatever it takes, maybe like, okay, touch your skin. I talk about sensuality a lot in my class, and there's a huge difference between sensuality and sexuality. And sensuality is for everyone. I teach kids like 5 years old. There's nothing wrong with touching your own body. What is the sensation? But to feel that, I kind of like created this formula recently. Life is about storytelling, and dance is about storytelling. And to create that movement and to create the story, you need like ingredients. And first ingredient is heartbeat. We all have heartbeat. To feel our body, tune into your heart. Okay, there's a heartbeat. Now the second one, so you feel the pulsing sensation. And some kids would say, oh, I don't feel heartbeat. And then they were touching like right side. That's not where the heart is. The heart is actually on the left side. Now you feel the heartbeat. And now can you feel the breath? You inhale and exhale. Breathing is life. And breathing is the movement, the first movement. We're constantly moving. Heartbeat is also movement. And now there are emotions. And then I often talk about the movie Inside Out, the Disney movie. They talk about 5 basic human emotions, which are joy, sadness, fear, disgust, anger. And then all the spectrum of emotions like frustration, that anxiety, and all these things are very natural. And somehow older generation demonize that. But I found that young generations have so much emotional intelligence. They talk about emotions, and then when they talk about emotions, I can see there are storylines, and they started to daydream and visualize things when they really tap into that. And I told them, before we take any actions and movement, there are emotions that triggers that movement. So emotions first, desires first, fear first, and then we taking action, right? And then with that action, when it comes to dance, is, okay, are you going to dance like you were in a bedroom? Or are you going to actually learn some technique of dance, right? Whatever that is. Okay, I'm going to express my emotions through this type of movement. It could be hip hop. Could be, I want to dance like more, add more masculinity and swag. Or I want to dance more sensual, be like a diva. And then lastly, you can add the storytelling through this whole movement. And that is like what I learned through movement practice and dance. That is basically can be applied to our how we create life. It's a storytelling using those elements: heartbeat, breath, emotions, movement, whatever that is. And that is the action part. And then you get to create. This is your blank canvas.
Yeah, that's an amazing origin of dance that isn't so apparent when you're watching from the outside. And it's a really great way to teach people. And what I'm getting at, or what's coming to my mind, is that this is applicable to all aspects of life if you learn this procedure, this process.
Yeah.
And so how does this trickle into other aspects of life? Like, is this a process people can use?
I think that definitely can be applied to anything. Like, storytelling is the life, and music and frequency, everything is energy, can be applied into this idea I feel in my journey. And music is powerful. It can lift you up, it can lift you down, and depending on the mood. And I feel like, let's say you hear music and then focus on that sensation that you feel from the music. Or when I see someone new, like Ra, for the first time, and there's an energy exchange, what's my sensation? What's my body telling me? And then it's the dance. It's like yin and yang. I can let the music guide me, which is like being me passive, but also letting someone or music lead me, or I get to lead. So it's like that exchange of masculinity and femininity. Not just I'm always, rigid with my femininity, I'm always passive. No, I get to lead, but also I'm not rigid with my masculinity. I flow like water. So that's what I'm learning through this journey and movement practice.
You just mentioned masculine, feminine, and you leading the music or letting the music lead you. How do you actually lead the music? Are we talking about music that's already made?
Yeah.
And how, what is the process? If the music is playing, how do you lead the music? What does that
That's
mean?
a great question. One of my teachers who's been dancing for a very long time, he actually said, music is merely background. Ignore music. You dictate music. You're the conductor of the music. And then you get to have all the power. And I feel like that's a masculine energy right there. But here comes the question, like, how do you dictate the music when the music already exists, right? But thinking that music is merely a background, what does that exactly mean? Is like, you know that this is the life that you create. Everything is available for us, and it's up to us how you want to interpret, how you want to use it. And I think what you have inside is super powerful and important because you get to use all that tools around you to express yourself. Everything is a tool. But if you don't come from the place, this is me, this is where I belong, you need to know where you belong before you relate to anybody else, including music. So if you know, coming from the strong place of who you are, loving yourself and loving yourself more, then you can see the relationship between you and outside surroundings. So when you hear music, sensation comes up. And this music maybe want people to feel this certain way. I tune into that at the same time. No, this is how I want to express myself. This is my natural state, or this is how I'm feeling at the moment in time. So even though the music goes, but sometimes you don't have to always go bum, 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 bum. But can you also ignore that pattern and it can go bum, 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 bum. So the way you have all the power to change and dictate how you want to create your own storyline. Because a lot of times in my dance career, some teachers told me, you need to know every song to be able to dance. But that's not true. That's impossible. You can't possibly know every song, every beat so that you can be a great freestyler. I know some dancers, I can tell if they know the song or if they don't know the song. But powerful place would be, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know every song. But when you hear the music, can you remember that feeling? Can you tap into that feeling and sensation? Because if you know how you feel, remember the music, remember the feeling that you get from the music. You can immediately tap into that. And instead of letting the music controls you, but you control the music. But yin and yang, sometimes you go with the pattern of the music, but you can also switch things up, switch the emotions, switch that texture of the movement. And I think those things that I learned through dance can be totally applied to daily life.
Right. That's what I even sat back in my chair because when you said when you started explaining that, I was actually thinking reality exists already. But I'm really good at feeling like I'm controlling reality, even though it's already there. And so the way that you just explained music, it's there. Are you able to have essentially power over it? And it all just is about how you tell the story of your relationship with the music.
Yeah. And if you are knowing that rhythm of, okay, this is where music guide me, this is where I dictate music, but I'm not rigid, I'm flexible like water. And there's a harmony in it, and I feel it, that's a yin and yang, and that exchange of constant flow. Oh, you don't want to go this way, let's go that way. And I also learned that from improvisation in contemporary dance. There's a lot of technique when you do partner dance. There's a push and pull. Okay, I'm going to let you lead now, but I want to move this way. So it's like constant exchange. And I think that's very beautiful. And dancers naturally learn that when you get the good practice and training. But normal people don't have that kind of experience. So my job, I feel like it just, let's just move. This is how I feel in my body. This is how I move. And we all have power in us. And I like to use the 4 elements, like to master life, you need to become avatar, which means to master 4 elements. So when I move, I bend air. And when I move water inside of me. And that is my fascia. We're basically water. And when I move, I ignite fire. Also, I release fire in me. And I get to have all these elements. When I use fire to hurt me, I could. That's literally the inflammation in my body. But when I when I can use the fire as an advantage, rise above it, then I can use this big fire and a drive in life to create. And the last element is earth. When I move, I reintroduce myself to ground myself to Mother Earth. This is me. So I feel like that dance and movement practice and opening up my fascia inside of me, unwinding all the programming that I have, taught me so much about what life is.
Beautiful. Where did that 4 elements, where did that come into your life? Has it always been there? Because is that a thing in Japan, or did you learn that later on in life?
I learned that later on in life recently. I was learning more about alchemy, like put yourself in a gold pyramid and clear out all the energy and then feel that power golden pyramid inside of me. And through that training, I learned that basically we're trying to be an avatar. I don't know if you agree, but recently I watched the Airbender, the live action on Netflix, and it's like, this is so cool. I'm a Libra. I'm an air sign. I'm very airy in general. I'm very uplifted energy, like, hi, everyone. But, to master life, it's like mastering 4 elements. And I'm like, whoa, like I'm my fascia. I can feel my water. Now I feel like I'm learning how to navigate my fire because I feel some inflammation inside of my body. That's somewhere that in my body that's not going through because I have something stopping me. So now, okay, if I don't want to go this way, how about going this way? Like how I work with fascia is the same thing. When I touch my body, there's a section I don't want to go. I'm very uncomfortable. Same thing when I work with body, like, oh, you don't want to go. Okay, I can go this way. But this is where the tightness is exactly where you need to work on. So when I would go into, okay, you move this way. Now let's go back into that. Do you feel safer? Do you feel like you want to move? So it's a dance. When I work with fascial maneuvers, it's a dance. And it's just like, I think I love what I do, and I get so excited and passionate about talking those things, connecting and embodiment of all this, what I know, and to apply it to my body. That's literally embodiment. And what I learned, can I inspire people to do something similar, to discover their own flow?
Are you using dance for therapy?
I guess I use that all the time for myself. I never necessarily thought about dance therapy, but I guess that's what I do.
So if somebody has, like, let's say even physical therapy, like physical issues in their body, is dance something that you've used to help people with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will definitely. I feel there's a lot of possibilities and potential in that. I feel like when I show up to the world, this is me, this is how I flow, and my fascia is open. So when I touch someone's body, I approach that from that point of view. So it's like my fascia is open. This is how I navigate through life. Let's see if I can dance. So I love the partner movement or dance that we're moving and stretching and push and pull at the same time. And I think that's literally what we do even when we are having a conversation, understanding each other's, comfort zone. And like, oh, this is where you feel uncomfortable. That's okay. And then knowing each other's boundaries. But can we also flow and respecting the boundaries and lines? So, yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I like talking about that.
So we've talked about the sensual aspect of dance, or sensational is another word that explains that. And we talked about the elements, and it kind of seems like we're going into consciousness or spirituality in that direction. But is there more? Is dance a spiritual activity?
I think dance is a movement meditation. I love meditating as I'm moving. And sensuality is being comfortable with your own skin, which is literally to be confident. And being sensual, being comfortable with your own skin, loving yourself, And I think that's at the end, that's all that is. That's why we came here on earth, I believe. So I love teaching children and guiding the next generation. And all my kids, all my dance students were very sassy. I let them like do runway walk and, talk about emotions openly, and just having discussion about how do you feel when you feel confident, and their posture changes, right? How do you feel when you're sad? Like literally when I teach hip hop, I talk about grooving, start with the bouncing. Okay, now you introduce yourself to the Mother Earth by bouncing. Now let's add some rib cage and the head. And this is called up groove. You're hitting the up beat and you go up, up. I call this happy chest. All the music, the pop music, funk music, like uplifted, upbeat sound. I'm talking about USA, West Coast. Like I'm talking about disco music and funk music and all that. Use music that are used for popping dance, pop dance. And when I go down, I call this sadness. So I let them guide. Okay, show me when you're sad. I go like this. Okay, never mind. Sad. And so when we do down groove, introduce down groove, which is East Coast, when you talk about hip hop, they come from a very, place of lots of politics and body not feeling safe. Right. It needs to speak up. So, I found that, I live in Canada, but USA is like West Coast, East Coast, different vibe. West Coast is where you live. It's like uplifting, like weather is nice and people are a little bit happier. Uplifting, happiness. When you go to East Coast, it's the weather, lots of snow, New York and the South Bronx, that where the hip hop is from. Like you need to constantly protect yourself. But that's just the expression. There's no right or wrong. It's just an expression. When I go like this, I feel this way. When I go like this, it's like lots of masculine energy. It's just like, I feel like any posture is a good posture. It's more about the flow state. So I feel like over the years of dance training, I can be swag if I want to. That's not really my natural state. I don't show up to the world like this all the time. But if I need to, if I want to, I can do that. And that's why people often say, wow, you look so different on stage. Like, I never knew you can move like that. And so like a chameleon, Yeah. Many aspects of myself.
You mentioned pop. Mm-hmm. What exactly is pop to you?
Pop music?
Yes.
Okay. So I was talking about popping. That's a genre of music. They pop and then you immediately flex and then flex a muscle and immediately relax. I think that's literally fascia, by the way. But pop music is, that's an interesting topic. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. I appreciate all kinds of music. I will definitely feel frequency when you listen to any type of music. I feel like, again, we are powerful beings. We get to choose what we like, what we don't. So let's say when I hear Ariana Grande's music, it's like, oh, this music's cool, but I know what she's going through or, a lot of things behind the scene. But I appreciate this song or the message. I extract that and use it as an advantage to express myself. Mm-hmm. So, and I choreograph to pop music very often. Literally like, okay, let's just be sassy now. Okay, like this. Can you move like that? Okay, let's change things up. Playing with those emotions and sensations. And okay, now dance angry. Okay, now then dance sad. And so move and practice using those elements. I found that at the end of it, we're just kind of like trying to pretend like we're sad, pretend like we're dramatic, or pretend like happy, like becoming an actor of our life. So if you are able to put those emotions into perspective, like I can be this, I can be that, but I'm not tied to all of them. It's just me. And I think it really helps movement practice and combining that emotion, just giving them tools to express themselves. Because we're not always like this. We're not always like this. We're not Like, we get to be all of them. It's just an ingredient to express. And so that it just give student the idea of what dance is, what movement is, what life is. So I hope that through this practice, I trust that through this practice, I get to guide students, like, you get to be anything. You're just using those elements and emotions and frequency. And now, how do you want to feel?
Yeah, it's amazing. For me, coming from a non-dancing culture, I played sports my whole life, and dance was completely off my radar. To me, dance was just something people did at the bar when they were drunk, right? Or I also knew there was dance competitions, but it was completely not even in my reality that dance is a way to learn more about yourself. And I guess that's everything in life is once you get deep into it, you are learning about yourself and your relationship to reality through whatever art form it is. And so if somebody identifies as a non-dancer, if they just don't dance, and you were having a conversation with them, what would that conversation look like?
I would say, you can't tell me you're not a dancer, because I think, when you bounce, I was told that this is literally, it doesn't matter where people come from. This is how a 2-year-old dances, right? 2-year-old baby dances. When you hear music and you feel happy, you just start to bounce. So that's why I often introduce dance class starting with the bounce. Okay, everybody show me how to bounce. Okay, now you can bounce. Can you move your shoulders at the same time? Now, can you move your head at the same time? And then can you clap at the same time? And now you look like you're having a great time. Yeah. So, this is like moving the whole body. And I think also I would like to mention that technical side of it. We don't move our head very often anymore. Right? That's why we carry a lot of things, like, in fascia maneuvers, we say over 50% of the muscle concentrated neck and above. And the part of the reason why our body is so tight, because we don't move our body, we don't move our head. And so even when you're dancing, I like, oftentimes teenagers, their head is really tight. They're not moving. So like, relax your head. When you bounce, your head is also reacting and adapting. But if you're so rigid here, you can be so great doing all this crazy stuff, but your head is not moving and dancing. I think this is also very secret of how you can flow. Every part of your body needs to move and flow.
If you could give like a 5 or 10 minute dance routine, not that you have to explain it for 5 or 10 minutes, but you did that emotional into a heartbeat, breath, emotion, and then into action.
Yeah.
Is there another like beginner dance routine that you can explain so people could practice on their own?
Yeah, for sure. So I also I have a lot of skills in my hand, but also another aspect is when let them move. Okay, you know how to bounce. You know how to move your body. Okay, show me, shake your head. Okay, now I give them action words. Okay, show me how to point. Show me how to punch. That's an action. Show me how to kick your legs. Show me how to swing. And then swing can be this. The elements we're using our body as a tool. You can swing your arms, then could be this or that. You can also swing your hip, and that's a lot of elements right there. You can also, can you swing your knees? How about sway? How do you sway? How do you roll? Then sometimes kids started to roll on the floor. How do you spin? So there are like, you can spin, you can roll with the wrists or entire arms or roll your ankles. So just break it down, isolating the body parts and bring them into awareness of, oh, I forgot about I have arms.
Right.
Yeah. So incorporating all these ingredient emotions and body parts, anybody can be a dancer. Everyone is a dancer.
And what are you learning? Like, where's the boundary that you're pushing into in this?
That's a great question. I feel like pushing the envelope. Okay, you feel comfortable here. Like pushing their comfort zone,
Yeah,
right? I think it's like,
where are you at?
where we are, we sort of carry trauma. That's where the uncomfortableness is. And like growth is where you push pushing, going into where the uncomfortableness is. So movement wise, people are not used to feel awkward, for some reasons. And it's just like, okay, you can do this. Now, can you do this more? Can you do this more? Now, can you also play in that process? Because if you're not having fun, what's the point, right? I think there's some type of programming, or we should be doing this, you should be doing that way, or what's the right way, what's the wrong way. But I think we all need to know that there's no right or wrong way to start in life. And if you don't go this way and then something doesn't work, it doesn't mean that that's a failure. Can you just play and know that this is the journey, And so I think just moving through that, and you can create, this is your blank canvas. When you move your arms, you're curving and bending air, and you create. And if you really pay attention, you can see how you can bend the air with your existence. You can manipulate, and you dance. And then that's like, that's a bender. And if you really enjoy this texture and what you're doing, you started to actually feel that body is vibrating, and how you can tap into the body, that we're actually constantly vibrating and pulsing.
What's your favorite place to dance?
Near water. Yeah.
When you were just doing that, I was imagining myself in the forest, earth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, raw of earth, right? Like,
yeah.
So I'm like really connected to the element of earth. And that was like where I went. But water, I didn't even think of water. Water wasn't even in my vision of doing this.
Sometimes like to go to the beach, literally looking at the water, and I was looking at the texture, how the waves move, and it's like, I feel like I can assimilate that energy and bring that energy element into my body so that I can also flow, and constant flow, because every day the energy is different. How I show up to the world is a bit different. And as I'm upgrading my self-worth, things do come up to remind me, to help me remember who I am. So I'm navigating it. But I think it's, you need to, like I love, someone said that we're going to the next stage, age of Aquarius. You have to take your body with us. And I love that, because you could be so spiritual and you can be all kinds, but you tend to forget the body. You have body, and you still have to take the body with us. So integrating that consciousness into your body is essential. You can't ascend without your body. and this crystal quartz inside of our body is moving and spiraling and twirling and dancing, and when you feel that energy pulsation all over your body, and you become magnetic, and you started to attract, well, we are constantly always attracting whatever that is, but we can attract more consciously with intentions.
Have you had spiritual experiences dancing?
Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah.
What does that look like?
There are some moments. One of the moments I like to share that I just came up to my mind is one day I'm looking at the spoon and movement, and I felt like every movement, even like holding the spoon and scooping water, this is the dance. It's like movement is a dance. And I don't know why, like I don't know how to describe it in words, but I literally thought any subtle movement is everything I do is a dance. It's a movement. It's the meditation. And if I could bring more of that into life with more consciousness, then I get to flow and play, because I love dancing because I get to connect with my body and be playful, remembering who I am, which is I'm an eternal flow being. I am not one thing. I am everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we've reduced everything in society to parts.
Mm-hmm.
Individuals, individual body parts, individual actions, like taking a scoop of something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm eating now. But if we can learn from dance and music and think about everything as a flow and as a current,
Mm-hmm.
whatever we're doing, whatever activity we're doing is a dance. It's a dance from this to that to that to that.
The expression of life itself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And it's coming from a non-physical place, our emotions, our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. That's what's guiding this, just like you explained it in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
that it's being guided from the heartbeat, the breath, what's going on inside of you into your actions, into
Mm-hmm.
literally not just dance action, but all action.
All actions, literally. And that action is the movement. And that action is the movement, like that moving meditation. And what is meditation? How would you describe what the meditation for you? Like, what is meditation?
I mean, we could do
Yeah.
then we turn into
Yeah.
to me. But I guess the short answer is that it's a level of awareness that you take the steering wheel of. So you, instead of just being aware of whatever you're aware of, you can meditate on your pinky finger, and you can bring your awareness. It's essentially the act of meditation is to bring your awareness into your finger. And you can do it physically, or you can go into your aura and you can meditate there. You can meditate on your breath. You can meditate on the earth.
Mm.
And essentially bring your awareness into different states of being. And for me, it's a lot about playing with that expansion and contraction of that awareness. It's not always just about going up to the Godhead meditative place. Like, that's just like constant chasing for ascension, like you said, because we do have a body. And so, yes, we can go out of our body into the ether realms. But what about, like, what's here now? You can go simply into your breath, present, and the awareness goes there. So for me, the on the street definition of it in layman's terms is that when you meditate, you are guiding your awareness.
I love that. I also, that kind of like, I just have a thought that I think staying present means staying in your body. Can all parts of my body feel this container that is our body? Can I feel all aspects of me? There are many aspects of me, but can I feel this all part of me evenly and moving and stay in my body? And that's, to me, that's staying present, and just be in the center where all the things are going on around me. But that's like Satori, like I come from Japanese culture. Satori awakening is, somebody said, it's like sitting in the center of the universe. Everything is spinning like crazy, but because you're so grounded, you know where it is, where you are. That's awakening. It's not about going into rainbows and unicorns. It's like you have a strong core of who you are, so you understand, and coming back to where you are.
And there's a lot of opposites in there, right? Like, it's within yourself that is within everything else.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about Satori?
Satori is like, I like this expression. Satori is, you go out from the reality and know that this spirituality and consciousness exists, and that's like your body, your life changes 100 degrees. And if you're just stuck in there, that's not enough. I think Satori is about going around, shift it, turn 180 degrees and coming back to real life and apply it. And that's Satori to me. If you're stuck in that 180 degrees and you flip it over, it's like, okay,
Right.
You have to come back.
Right. It's like the CEO that just gives up everything and is now living in a van.
Mm-hmm.
He's out, right?
Yeah. And that is not Satori. I know that Satori is living that usual daily life and enjoying, applying this, embodying in this spiritual eternal being into this 3D body. And we chose to be here because you could be out there, right? Or many, time doesn't exist, but we're here. We're here to dedicate ourselves into small body. Know that, to remind ourselves that we are still a spiritual being doing all this thing, cooking and eating and taking a shower.
That's amazing. The way that I have a similar concept.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I imagine it is that, yes, we're going around in a circle, learning all the different aspects of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that one thing. But then we ascend and we integrate all of that. We have that integrated, and then we continue to go around, and maybe we're revisiting different aspects of ourselves. But we are in more connection with them all. And the more in connection we are to the other parts of ourselves, we're not so wide in the circle. So as we go up in life, we get closer to our center.
Mm-hmm.
And we can integrate more of the different aspects which are on the edges. And so as we continuously go around the circle, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the center till eventually we are able to be in our center, completely integrated with all of the aspects of ourself. And it's kind of like a spiraling vortex that goes up into a point.
Right.
And then you have the ability to see or to integrate all of your experiences.
I love that. I also wanted to share, I think Satori is knowing that you are nothing, but you are everything. So if you're stuck in the idea of everything is nothingness, and that is not Satori, right? Nothingness is the void in everything. That's where we create. Shadow needs, yin and yang, light and shadow, we both exist because without darkness, we cannot create, we cannot see where the light is. By having that shadow, we can actually create and draw when there's only one light and you can't see where everyone is. Right. So I think it's just knowing and appreciating everything, not stuck in the idea of nothingness. That is like, nothingness is coming from the Buddhism, right? But you need to really coming back to your body. I am nothingness. I am nothing, and I am everything. And I understand I'm here to experience everything, or mirrors of myself, or aspects of myself, so that I know that I am the being. Mm-hmm.
I think that's one great thing about dance and what you're talking about is it brings you into yourself, into the present moment.
Yeah. That present moment is, I think is, it's not the now, but some people say eternal now, right? And
it's always now.
Always now. There's a always now, and there's a cross line, a vertical line, and this horizontal line, and we are at the cross. And I really try to understand that concept. I learned it from my mom's religion, and we are in an eternal now. The life is about to understand that eternal now. From there, you can create anything and everything without limitation. And so everything that comes at us help us remember that eternal being. That's who we are.
Anything else to add?
So besides all that crazy consciousness topic, I love working with my body. I love touching myself, and I like moving, and I like working my face. So, and I have a strong desire about looking youthful. And so initially, I started to dance because I thought that was so cool. And I like expressing all aspects of myself. I can be sassy. I can be, like a masculine and all that stuff. And I like playing all of that. But I love exploring. Okay, I can manipulate object. I can manipulate my body. And I like working on my face to just look young. So I'm always touching my body. So the one last thing that I want to say is I am having this facelift class. And if you want to look young, erase wrinkles, because it's possible. You can literally, if you know that, you can manipulate anything. Your avatar, your airbender, your waterbender. I think I would like to inspire people on that area.
Could you give us one technique right now?
Okay. This is one of my favorite. You can take right hand and then go into one eye like this. Just pin the edges of your eye. Take the other hand. You should make a peace sign. And then gently introduce your healing hand into your skin. Gently until your body is safe, and separate the skin and open. You can also use entire hand like this and stretch and then move around and open. And you can go really hard once you establish a connection with your body.
I really do feel it in the rest of my body.
Yeah. Parts of your body, feeling your water. If you feel like burning sensation, that is your skin, that is your fascia opening up. And yeah, that's one of the things for the crow feet. It feels really good. And open your eyes. Yeah, so like.
Wow, that's interesting, because a lot of youth practices talk about never touching this area.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Fascia is your container, your bag that you live in. You want to maintain. And I used to have pimples growing up in my teenage years, and my mom would say, "Don't touch it, you make it worse." And I think we also have that idea, limited belief about don't touch it, make it worse. And same thing with wrinkles and all the sensation. We want to touch the skin that you live in.
It's so funny because your mom has a stronger accent than you, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's kind of like you went to speaking more Japanese.
Yeah.
You said like worth.
Yeah. I know, I said it wrong. Yeah.
But I heard you because you switched over to talking like your mom for a sec.
Oh, that's funny. So it's like stretching. You want to stretch the back that you live in. The good news is, as you stretch your skin that is attached to fascia, it doesn't matter how old you are, collagen start to fill in. So you actually touching your body is a good thing. So changing that mindset is so good. And good news is fixing your hydration, taking all that, silica, minerals, vitamins, while hydrating yourself. You don't have to be scared of making it worse. Oh, I'm going to stretch my skin, So I have a very different belief around aging and wrinkles now. And I'm very hopeful, and I love sharing that.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing. So where do people find this face
yoga? It's going to be announced on my social media.
And where's your social media?
If you guys could follow me on Instagram, Ikue Dancer, IKUE Dancer, DANCER. And if you go to the link in the bio, you can find all that information.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I invite you guys to do that. Ikue is amazing. You guys heard a lot of her wisdom here today, and there's much more where that came from. Well, I'm super excited to be working alongside you, and it's really moving to see how people smile when you're on stage. We were both on stage. Well, I was watching you on stage with like a sea of like 1,000 people, and she had everybody like bend their wrists back and start punching the air, and then all of a sudden she was directing them like, and then they were just dancing like an East Coast rapper, basically, right? Yeah, so it's inspiring to watch how quickly you can get everybody in a good mood.
Thank you. Really appreciate this. And thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thank you.